Nathan said to David, 2 Samuel 12:13, the Lord also has put away your sin. You shall not die. However, 2 Samuel 12:14, because by this deed you have given great occasion to the enemies of the Lord to blaspheme, because of your sin and contempt and scorn for God. God's enemies talk against God. The child also who is born to you, David and Bathsheba and baby, shall surely die. Death, David and Bathsheba and baby. Because by this deed you have given great occasion to the enemies of the Lord to blaspheme, the child also who is born to you shall surely die. 2 Samuel 12:15. Then Nathan departed. Nathan departed, left David to his house. Nathan departed and went to his house. And the Lord struck the child that Uriah's wife bore to David, and it became ill. Deadly disease on David's and Bathsheba's baby. David therefore pleaded to God for the child. God, please save my son, spare him. God, please, not my son, spare him, said David. Or, I added that in there. But then David departed to his house, and the Lord struck the child that Uriah's wife bore to David, and it became ill. David therefore pleaded to God for the child. 2 Samuel 12:16. And David fasted. David didn't eat anything and concentrated on God. No food for David. And went in and lay all night on the ground. Forgive me, God. So the elders of his house, the older leaders at David's house, David fasted and went in, I think, to the tabernacle or the church, and lay all night on the ground. So the elders of his house arose. 2 Samuel 12:17. The elders arose and went to him. The elders go to David to raise him up from the ground. David, please get up. The elders and David. But he would not. I won't get up. The elders arose and went to him to raise him up from the ground, but he would not. 2 Samuel 12:17. Nor did he eat food with them. Eat with us, the elders and David. No. Then on the seventh day it came to pass, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it happened on this day that the child died. Death to the child. And the servants of David were afraid to tell him that the child was dead. How can we tell David? Said the servants. Nor did he eat food with them. Then on the seventh day it came to pass that the child died, and the servants of David were afraid to tell him that the child was dead. 2 Samuel 12:18. For they said, indeed, while the child was alive, we spoke to him, and he would not heed our voice. Master, David doesn't pay attention to his servants when the child is still alive. How can we tell him that the child is dead? He may do some harm. David may become hurtful to himself or maybe to the servants. For they said, indeed, while the child was alive, we spoke to him, and he would not heed our voice. How can we tell him that the child is dead? He may do some harm. When David saw that his servants were whispering, whisper, 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 David saw his servants whispering, David perceived that the child was dead. David understood that the child died. When David saw that his servants were whispering, David perceived that the child was dead. 2 Samuel 12:19. Therefore David said to his servants, is the child dead? David said to the servants, and they said, he is dead. So David arose from the ground. David got up, washed. Therefore David said to his servants, is the child dead? And they said, he is dead. So David arose from the ground, washed, 2 Samuel 12:20, and anointed himself. David put on lotions and changed his clothes. David took off his old clothes, put on new clothes. And he went into the house of the Lord, the tabernacle and the ark, and worshipped. Psalm 51 was written by David around this time. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. David anointed himself, changed his clothes, and he went into the house of the Lord and worshipped. 2 Samuel 12:20. Then he went to his own house. David went home, and when he requested, I'd like some food now, David asked. They set some food before him, and he ate. Then he went to his own house, and when he requested, they set food before him, and he ate. 2 Samuel 12:21. Then the servant said to him, What is this that you have done? You fasted, no food for David, and wept, David cried, while he was alive. You were upset when the baby was still alive, but when the child died, you arose, you got up, and ate some food. What's happening? What's going on? Why aren't you upset? Not eating and lying on the ground, asked his servants. Then the servant said to him, What is this that you have done? You fasted and wept while he was alive, but when the child died, you arose and ate food. 2 Samuel 12:22. And he said, While the child was alive, I fasted. David didn't eat any food and wept. For I said, Who can tell whether the Lord will be gracious to me that the child may live? Grace from the Lord, grace for David, no death for the child. And he said, While the child was alive, I fasted and wept, for I said, Who can tell whether the Lord will be gracious to me that the child may live? 2 Samuel 12:23. But now he is dead, why should I fast? Now that there's death, so no more fasting. David is back to eating. Can I bring him back again? Will the baby come back? I shall go to him, but he shall not return to me. The servants, David talks to the servants, he will not return to me. But now he's dead, why should I fast? Can I bring him back again? I shall go to him, and he shall not return to me.